Good morning, everybody. It is day 11 of the Summer Scrapping Series. This is Audrey. Thanks again for joining me today. My guest today is Mari Clark, and she is incredible as well. All of my guests have been incredible, but I asked her to join this series because I'm just a big fan of her stuff. So please go check out her channel as well. So today I am doing a page about a trip to the splash pad, and I wanted to use kind of a splashy cut file. So I found one in the Silhouette design store. So this this particular design is in the Silhouette store, and I liked the little how the water droplets were oriented in this file. And my plan is to kind of orient these water drops and cut them out of paper and then back them with different colored blues in the background for the water drops. So I have two photos for this page, and they're excuse me, about 2 inches by 3 inches. And my original plan was to kind of have the sprays coming out the top and the bottom, but I liked how this cut file was kind of curved, and it fit around the corners of the photos really nicely. So I oriented them like this around the photos, and I like how that looks. And it's kind of neat because when you see my photos in a bit, the way the splashes are oriented kind of looks like follows the movement of my photo, if that makes any sense. So I like how that looks. So I also wanted to have the title splash. This cut file is from the Cut Shop, and I loved the font of this word splash and the little splatters coming off the end. So I'm just going to trace that part of the word, and I'm going to use that word splash in the middle. I don't know what that little loading bar thing is on the bottom there. Okay, so I'm going to put the title right in the middle. I think I'm not usually keen on having my title overlap things because I like it to stand out, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to cut it out of a dark paper and have the splatters be blue and have the background be yellow. So I had a plan going into this. So that's pretty much how I'm going to design it. So, as I have been saying in a lot of my previous videos, I need a new cutting mat really bad. So I got a new cutting mat, yay! And it is so sticky. I have to fight with this thing, and I don't want to rip the paper, and I was so nervous about ripping it. So the first time using a new mat is, I don't know, maybe I should have done a smaller item first before I decided to do this whole background page. Look how sticky that is. But I guess I would probably complain if it wasn't sticky enough, so I guess you can just never please me. But anyway, I get it off, but then my paper is all completely wrinkled, and not wrinkled, but curled. So I try to uncurl it in different ways, and I'm rubbing it against the edge of the counter and just trying to straighten it out. But once I add the mixed media and stuff, it's fine. So these little bits, the inside pieces, I'm going to save because I think I'm going to work with those as well and add them back to my page as kind of embellishments. So I'm going to stick this down with some tape just so it's a little bit flatter. And by the way, the little mat I'm using in the background, I alternate kind of between like the brown craft mats, and then this is just a cheapy cutting board from the dollar store. And you can get like a 2-pack for, well, $1. And I like to use these because, and I wash them, but when they get really yucky, I just throw them away because, you know, they're 50 cents. So I'm using some clear gesso on the background, and I'm going to make the background yellow because I knew the water droplets were going to be blue, so I wanted a nice contrasting color, and yellow is sunny and bright, and that's what I want to add. So somebody asked about, again, I mentioned somebody asked about adding gesso to the page and what it does. So you can actually see on this page the two like lines in the middle where the areas are kind of darker. That's where I didn't add enough gesso, and the liquid is soaking into the paper. So I don't know if you can see right between the two splashes there, those areas that are dark are where the water has gone into the paper. And another way that you know if you haven't covered it is if I flipped this over to the back, you would see the liquid coming through the back of the layout. So, and there's another area up there in the top right too, where I didn't cover completely with gesso, which is fine. I mean, once it dries, you don't even really see it, but when it's wet, you can definitely see it because it absorbs right into the paper. So I added some yellow to that, and now I'm going to go back and work with these little water droplets. I'm only going to take a couple. I'm not really sure what I'm going to use, but I'll just do a couple just in case. I'm going to give them a light spritz of water, and then I'm going to use some gelatos. I thought gelatos might be easier to work with in this case than watercolors, just because it would be easier just to color them in. And I want to add some more colors because I wanted to give them a little bit of dimension and a little depth. So I'm going with a kind of a light blue and then this kind of darker teal blue. And then I decide that wasn't, it doesn't, so this is kind of, to me, more like a sky blue, and the papers I have picked out on the right, or I'm sorry, on the left, are more of an aqua. So I take a little bit of Seafoam, Heidi Swap Color Shine, and I add the Seafoam, which has a slight green tint, to these, and then I smear that in, and that makes them a little bit more aqua in color instead of just the bright, bright teal. I'm going to put those aside to dry, and here's my background. It's pretty yellow. It's, yeah, it's really bright. So I'm going to back this first and then go back and work with the yellow and see if I need to do anything with it. But I'm not going to show you this whole process, but basically all I'm doing is I picked out a whole bunch of teal colored papers. These are from all kinds of places. Some of these are Cocoa Daisy papers from a Cocoa Daisy kit. There's a Dear Lizzie paper, that watery paper. The stripe paper is October Afternoon. I don't know. That scalloped paper over on the left is Studio Calico. But anyway, I'm just picking a whole bunch of aquas. I'm trying to make the top splash and the bottom splash a little bit different. So I'm not putting the same exact papers in the same shape, because it is just the same shape, just rotated 180 degrees. But so when I back items like this, cut files, I put the glue behind the cut file and then just put on a piece of paper that's big enough to cover it. And then once it's a little bit dry, I go and trim it around the edges from behind the layout. So that's instead of tracing the shape and cutting it out and then gluing it on. Okay, so I've backed that whole thing. And I'm going back through here with some white gesso because I just thought the yellow was too bright, and I'm kind of dabbing the gesso on. I'm not smearing, and then I'm dabbing some off with a paper towel. And I thought, okay, maybe just to tone it down even a little bit more, I'll add a little bit more white to the background. So I have this stencil, kind of, just wonky circles, and I'm going through with some modeling paste to add some, kind of looks like bubbles, I guess. And I'm going to add some modeling paste kind of flowing from on a diagonal down the page. And I definitely like what that does and helps tone down that yellow just a tad. So I thought that well, my plan was that scallop paper over to the left, which is now gone. Well, it's just covered up. I thought I was going to use that as a border. Well, specifically 2 borders. So I get this background all done. I add some mists and it dries. And I think, like I said, that I'm going to use this as a border. So here I am playing around with it. And I thought, okay, well, maybe if I tear the edges of the background, I could put these nice strips on each side. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. So I'm eyeing that up. I really, really like that background paper, the pattern paper there. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to tear the edges off. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I don't regret this because I like my background. And I put it on, and guess what? I don't like it. I mean, I love that pattern paper, and I like my background. I don't like them together because I think that the pattern paper is too busy for the splashes. So I was like, darn it. And then I put it on a more tone-on-tone paper. I don't like that either. So I resort to going back to the white. I noticed that my last couple pages for this series have all been on white paper, and I'm finding myself going back into that white background kind of habit. So I got to make myself use some more pattern papers on my upcoming pages. So I put it on white cardstock, but you know what? I kind of like the rough edges on it, so I'm going to keep that. This mixed media sheet is one that I used for my fish page, my fishing page, and it was extra, and I had already painted it blue, and I had a little, like the extra little bit, and I was able to mount these photos on it. So I thought that was cute. I like the blue here. It didn't work on the page that I had intended it for, how I had it. So I definitely am glad that I was able to use it here. So that softens up the edges of the photos a little bit. So now I'm going to go through and start playing with embellishments, and I picked out some things, some papers and embellishments from the Crepe Paper Poolside collection, which I loved this collection. And look how much of the chipboard I have left. See, the thing is that I, like with all these summer collections, a lot of them are like pool swimming or beach or ocean, and we don't do that kind of swimming. We do lake swimming and river swimming. So I have a hard time using a lot of the pool things. So yeah, I really want a summer collection that's, lake oriented. And if you find one that's lake oriented, it's always like cabinish, like cabin life lake with, pine trees and bears and red and black plaid. So it's more like a cabin type of hiking thing. But anyway, back to this page. So I picked out the cute little bathing suits because they were the kind of the same colors, and I love that. And I love that gold glitter sun. And then I think, ooh, I'm going to bring in some more gold items. I'm going through the ephemera pack and just picking out some things I think are going to work. If they don't work, I put them in the little bin. And if I think they might work, I put them in a separate little pocket of the bin, or I put them right on the page. So I had that gold sun at the top, the glitter sun, and I needed something gold down by the other photo. So the ice cream scoop there, I didn't think I would ever use it like it is, but I do like how the top of it was rounded and provided some gold. So the gold little pluses there too. There was I only had 2 of them initially, and then I found the third one still left in the package. In a little while you'll see me do that, but I don't end up using those either. So I tried to make my cluster so that I had the same kind of elements on each photo. I have to have that balance. It's just something, I don't know, that I need. So I had a gold item, kind of an acetate light blue item, and a little bathing suit, and a couple labels for each photo. So these are the droplets that I painted, and I thought I would add those on, and I intend to kind of pop those off to provide a little bit more depth. I'm going to move these stickers over a little bit because I felt they were covering up the photo too much. I want to keep my embellishments kind of covering just one side of the photo. I moved the one down by my son's picture too. You can see I moved that little labels over to the left a little bit more. So I thought perhaps I would add some interest behind that jagged edge, and a little piece of washi tape did that, and then I thought to even jazz it up even more, I'm going to add some stitching. So I went and made a whole bunch of just straight line stitches down the edges of that white cardstock on the background, because I just wanted to make it a little bit different from the the top part of the layout, and it adds such great texture. I love the texture of stitching, and it just feels so nice to run your fingers over it too when you have stitching that's that close. So it's really cool. I love how that looks. And then I just put those little bits of washi tape there, and that kind of helps the edge stand out a little bit more, and I wanted to bring in a little bit more color. And there is a little bit of color in like the bathing suit chipboard there in my son's photo, and then one of the labels I put on my daughter's photo has a little bit of pink in it, pinkish coral in it too, so I like the little coral washi tape. So now I'm going to start gluing everything down, and I'm using some liquid glue. I popped off my photo with some foam. I'm just going to layer these bits in. I'm going to add these water droplets with foam dots as well. And the acetate things, I'm actually going to use a tape runner. So when I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but when I use, like, have a mixed media background or use something like modeling paste or gesso, and I use a liquid glue, well, actually any type of adhesive, but specifically liquid glue, I have a hard time getting it to stick to the background. So I don't know if it's because the surface doesn't, that the stuff you add in the surface just makes it less likely to stick. I don't know. Gesso and modeling paste kind of feel powdery after they've dried, so I don't know if that's it or what, but so it takes a while for the liquid to dry. All right, so what am I doing? Just adding some layers, gluing that stuff down. I wanted to get everything glued to this top part because I have to flip it over and glue it to the stitched paper. So I'm trying to get everything down here. And see, my photo falls right off even after I've glued it on. So it's that something on the background there. So I'm kind of holding it at an angle here so not to tip it completely upside down because I'm afraid some of the stuff is going to fall off. But I go back and check it once it's dry. I think I just needed to give it some time to dry. And you're going to get a nice headshot here. Don't look at my grays. Oh my gosh. So going to pound that down. That helped, obviously, with the curling of the paper, mounting it on the other piece of white cardstock. I'm being so picky about my edges here and making sure that they are lined up. The rough edges are kind of lined up a little bit. So I went and cut my title splash out of a navy paper, and I ended up making it a little smaller because when I designed it in the Silhouette software, one thing I did not consider was the embellishments and the photo mats that I add around my photos, and that obviously takes up more space. So I need to start considering that when I design in Silhouette, because I forget to do that and allow space for other layers behind my photos. So I did end up making the title a little bit smaller, and I love the navy, and I definitely wanted the dark contrast and the little splatter, so that's super cute. I play around with placement of this a little bit. I'm taking so much care with my new mat now because I treasure my new cutting mats. But so I like that, and I thought to adhere these down, what I would do is this is called a sticky dots sheet, and if you have a tape runner that uses like dots, it's just a whole sheet of that, and it has a protective layer over the top. So basically you just pull the protective layer off and the whole bottom part is all sticky adhesive. And I love using this for cut files, especially intricate ones that you don't want to take the time to use like a fine line glue bottle or whatever. And because I was having such trouble with the liquid glue, I thought that these dots would work better. And they do. They work much better on this background than the liquid glue does. So I don't mind that title overlaps my photos a little bit because I think it's dark enough to stand off. And then I was going to add some labels for journaling, but I don't like how they take the balance away from the layout, so I struggled a little bit with that balance there. So I felt like if I put something under the title, I'm going to have to put something above and to the left of the title. So, I don't know, the struggles. Adding a few more splatters because they kind of got lost. So what I ended up doing is printing my journaling on a piece of mixed media sheets. So the lightweight sheets that I used behind the photo, I just printed right on it and printed my journaling, typed it up, and I like how that looks. So here are some close-ups. You get to see all that texture and the different colors and how the background came up. And there's a close-up of the journaling, and I just add that on right with a tape runner. I love doing that with my journaling. It's a fun technique. Thank you so much for joining me for day 11 today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow for, oh my gosh, day 12, getting towards the end. Have a great day and stay scrappy, my friends.